Welcome back to Sign Language class. I'm Mrs. Stedman and this is lesson 7. Today we're talking about animals. We'll be learning words for pets, farm animals, wild animals, and then we'll learn some question words so you can have conversations with people and ask them questions about themselves and their animals. All right, let's get started. The first word is animal. To sign animal, take 2 hands and bend them. We call this a bent hand shape. Put the hands on your chest and move them in and out. This represents an animal breathing. Animals are living things that breathe. Animal, animal. To sign pet, take 1 hand and act like it's an animal and pet it with your other hand. Pet. Do this 2 times quickly to show that you're talking about a pet. If you want to show to pet, like to pet your cat, you can do it longer and slower. Pet, pet. A very common pet is a dog. To sign dog, snap your fingers a couple times. Dog. Now the interesting thing about this sign is both you snap to call the dog to come to you, but also when you snap, your hand starts as a D shape and ends in a G shape. So this is the first and last letters of the word dog. So even if you can't snap very well, start with a D and end with a G. Do this 2 times. Dog, dog. You can also hit your leg after you snap. Some people will snap and then hit their leg. Dog, dog. Another common pet is a cat. This is my cat. To sign cat, make an F shape with your hand and show whiskers at the side of your face. Cat, cat. A lot of people have fish. To sign fish, take a flat hand and wiggle it back and forth like it's swimming. Fish, fish. Or maybe you have a bird. To sign bird, use your fingers to make a beak. Bird, bird. A lot of people like turtles. To sign turtle, make an A shape with your hand and then turn it sideways. Put your other hand on top like a shell and wiggle your thumb like it's a head. Turtle, turtle. Some people like mice. To sign mouse, take a finger and tap your nose twice. Mouse, mouse. Mice often wiggle their nose when they're looking for cheese. Mouse, mouse. We talked a little bit about the sign for the word have when we learned about families, but let's review it. To sign have, take a bent hand or 2 bent hands and touch the sides right by your shoulders. Have, have. So to ask someone if they have a pet, what you can say is, have pet you? Have pet you? And make your eyebrows go up because you're asking them a question. Anytime you ask a question that has a yes or no answer, your eyebrows go up. So have pet you? And then they can answer yes or no. All right, let's do those once more and you sign with me. Animal, animal. Pet, pet. Dog, dog. Cat, cat. Fish, fish. Bird, bird. Turtle, turtle. Mouse, mouse. Have, have. Do you have a pet or have pet you? Have pet you? The next animals we'll learn about are farm animals. To sign farm, make a 5 hand and brush your thumb under your chin. Farm. To sign farm, to sign farmer, show farm and then use your two hands to show a person, just like we learned teacher, farmer, farmer. A very common farm animal is a cow. To sign cow, take a Y hand and put it on the side of your head to show the horns. Twist your hand a couple times. Cow, cow. To sign horse, it's very similar. Take an H hand with your thumb out, put your thumb on your head, and bend your fingers forward twice. Horse, horse. A smaller farm animal is a pig. Remember when we learned the sign dirty, we wiggled our fingers under our chin? Well, the sign for pig is very similar. Take your hand and open and close your fingers under your chin a couple times. Pig, pig. Another farm animal is a sheep. To sign sheep, act like you're holding a lamb and then use your fingers like they're scissors cutting the sheep's wool. Sheep, sheep. And on the pond at the farm, you'll often see ducks. To sign duck, it's very similar to signing bird, but instead of using just one finger, you'll use two fingers to show that their beak or bill is a little bit wider. Duck, duck. To sign chicken, you're going to do the same sign as bird. Chicken, chicken. And what you're talking about will help the person you're talking to know if you're just talking about a bird flying or a chicken on a farm. Chicken. All right, let's do those one more time. You sign with me. Farm, farm. Farmer, farmer. Cow, cow. Horse, horse. Pig, pig. Sheep, sheep. Duck, duck. Chicken, chicken. The last group of animals we'll learn about are wild animals. And the first one is the king of the jungle. To sign lion, take a clawed hand and pull it back to show the mane or the hair on the lion's head. Lion. To sign tiger, remember how we used our fingers to show stripes? We'll take two hands but claw them a little bit as you pull them off your face. Tiger, tiger. To sign bear, take clawed hands again and cross them across your chest like you're giving a giant bear hug. Bear, bear. To sign monkey, scratch under your arms like a monkey. Monkey, monkey. To sign elephant, take a hand and show the elephant's trunk. Elephant, elephant. To sign snake, take a V and bend it to show the snake's fangs, and then slither your hand forward a little bit. Snake, snake. For frog, take a hand at your throat, because some bullfrogs have that big throat, and then put your fingers out a couple times. Frog, frog. And finally, to sign deer, take two hands and put them on your head to show antlers. Deer, deer. All right, let's do those one more time and you sign with me. Lion, lion. Tiger, tiger. Bear, bear. Monkey, monkey. Elephant, elephant. Snake, snake. Frog, frog. Deer, deer. And finally, let's learn some question words. To ask who, make an L shape and put your thumb under your chin. Then move your finger, bend your finger forward as you make an O shape with your mouth. Who, who. To sign what, You can put your hands out like this, like we've already learned, what, or take one finger and move it down the other hand, what, what. So you can sign what or what. To sign where, hold your finger up and wiggle it back and forth. Where, where. To sign when, hold one finger out and move the other finger in a circle and land on it. When, when. To sign why, touch your head with your middle finger and then pull it down until your hand makes a Y shape. Why, why. To sign how, we learned this when we learned how are you. Put your hands together and twist one forward. How, how. And finally, to sign how many, take a hand with fingers closed and move it up as you open your fingers. How many? How many? For all of these questions, you're going to move your eyebrows down and tilt your head forward when you ask. If you're asking a yes or no question, remember, your eyebrows are up. But if you're asking one of these questions, what we call a WH question, because they all start with W or H, eyebrows forward, eyebrows down, and head forward. So let's do them together. Who? Who? What or what? What? Where? Where? When? When? Why? Why? How? How? How many? How many? Now with these question words, in American Sign Language, we'll usually put the question words at the end of the sentence. In English, you put it at the beginning. Who is that? What did you say? How are you? But in sign language, it's almost always at the end. So to say who is that, you would point to the person and say who. That is who. Remember, we learned what is your name? We learned your name, what? Or how are you is one of the ones that we'll just go, how are you? How are you? But all the other sentences I can think of right now have the question word at the end. How are you is the only one that has it at the beginning that I can think of right now. So most of the time, put that question word at the end of the sentence. So to say, where are you going? You can say you are going where? Where? So always put the word at the end. Okay, go ahead and get out your worksheet. On this worksheet, you'll see a picture of a crazy scientist with some exploding bottles. This scientist got his animal DNA all mixed up and has created a crazy creature. So I'm going to tell you in sign language what animal parts to put on him. His nose, his tail, his horns are all from different animals. And I'll tell you in sign language what those animals are, and you can draw them onto the creature. Now, this doesn't have to be a perfect picture. The point is to practice our sign language signs and just have fun. So at the end, I'll show you the picture I drew to give you the answers to the worksheet. All right, so go ahead, get your pencils ready, and let's get started. First of all, this creature has the head of, a, all right, take a minute to make his head look like that animal. Next, the creature has the nose of a, okay, draw that nose on your creature. Then give your creature the tail of a, good. All right, give him the arms of a, good. On top of his head, he has The horns of a, I guess they're actually antlers. The antlers of a, all right. Now give him the legs from a, the legs from a, all right, did you get that? All right, I hope you had fun with that drawing. This is what mine looks like. You should have the head of a lion with the nose of an elephant, the tail of a monkey, the arms or wings of a bird or chicken, the legs of a frog, and the antlers of a deer. Okay, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine certainly isn't. But the point was to practice and identify the animals I signed, as well as have fun making a crazy creature. Now, before we go, you guys have learned enough signs now to be able to read some simple books. Nothing too long and involved, and there's kids all ages taking this class, and a lot of you are probably reading some pretty advanced books. But if you remember back when you were in kindergarten or preschool, or maybe some of you are those ages now, this book and this book, you pretty much know, or will know by next week, the signs to be able to read it. Now I know this is simple, but if you are beyond this book, but you have a younger brother or sister or cousin maybe that you can read it to, or just for practice, okay? It uses colors, animals, and a simple question, and you know all the signs to sign this entire book. Whoops, I completely forgot about the last couple pages of this book. I thought that it talked to students, but it actually says children. So to sign children, take a hand and move it to the side like you're patting children's heads. And then when they talk about what we see and animals looking at us, take a finger and put it on your shoulder, and then move it to the other shoulder like you're pointing to yourself and everyone else. Us, or we. Us, we. Now you know all the signs to sign this book. Now I'm not going to read it to you, but let's do the first page together to get the pattern down and see if you can maybe do it at home. Check it out at the library. Brown bear, what do you see? And we'll start with the question. Brown bear, what do you see? So remember, in sign language, we often put the color after the thing we're talking about. You can do it before too, though. So if you want to do brown bear or bear brown, either one is correct. So to keep it simple while we're speaking, let's do brown bear, and then remember we'll put the question word at the end when we say what do you see? So brown bear, what do you see? Or you see what or what? And then the answer is, if you guys are familiar with this book, I see a red bird looking at me. So it goes, I see a red bird looking at me. Remember when we learned the sign for see and for look, and you just move like your two eyes in whatever direction you're looking. So if the bird is looking at you, turn it to look at you. So brown bear, what do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. And the rest of that book follows that pattern, and you know all the signs to be able to sign it. So see if you can do that. See if you can read that book in sign language to get some practice and to actually have something to do with your American Sign Language. And by next week, you'll be able to sign almost all of this book, and definitely the song part about the 5 little monkeys. But you guys are doing a great job. I really hope you're having fun, and I hope this is helping you learn and not be nervous if you see deaf people around. It can be hard if you don't know how to communicate, but now you know how to say simple things even to people who can't hear. So I hope this class really has been helpful. And I will see you next week. Bye.